Real JP Multimedia, proud sponsor of the Nerdball podcast. Here to help you with all things audio, video, graphics, photo, web design. From weddings to real estate, commercial business to private use, we offer a big variety of services for almost any budget. And if we can't do it, we will find someone who can. Find us at realjp.com. That's REELJP.com. Real JP Multimedia.
I'm Chelsea, and this is the Nerdball podcast.
This is the Nerdball Podcast with Lorenzo Melcher.
All right, Chelsea, we're back. You're back
Yes.
with round 2, I guess, of our dating discussions.
I feel like, don't worry, we got plenty of rounds in this tank.
And I listened to it yesterday. I listened to the end because I know we ended like really good. Like, oh yeah, we'll talk about the last one. And I believe it was someone that, what was it, like didn't show up or ghosted you?
Yes, my very one and only, like, no show.
Yeah.
Like, one time I was stood up, and I was like, rude.
And it made me think of Friends. I think it was Chandler got stood up, and Rachel's like, "Oh, do you think she came in and saw you and left?" He goes, "I do now."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that it, like, dating is, and I think dating in today's world where, like, everyone's behind a screen.
Yeah.
And you have to, like, meet face to face, and you have to be a person in person.
Yeah.
I think, like, they're able to just do and say whatever they want, and then don't commit or show up to anything, and they're like, it's okay.
You know, I've
Like,
done
this
that.
is not okay.
Yeah, I've done that sometimes with this podcast. Like, I'll have someone lined up, and I'm like, you know, I have to do this podcast, but I also have to do this other thing. And it is real easy to just send a quick text, like, I'm sorry, I can't do it today.
Yeah.
I guess in your case, you didn't even get a text. You just,
No.
you
And
didn't get
that's the
anything.
other thing, too, is, like, that is, just do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, fine. But don't make me jump through the rigmarole of driving to Sylvania and waiting for you. And it was just the way, and I've gotten really good at picking it up, where I'm like, you know, you start to pepper in, like, he was like, well, I might get off work a little later. So they start peppering in, like, the excuses or, like, the laying the groundwork for, I'm going to be a real douche, and sorry.
You should have
Yeah,
saw
you
it.
should have seen it. And I was like, okay.
So let's back up. How this was a first date?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
we'd been talking for probably a couple weeks.
Okay.
And he wanted to, like, meet up, and we were going to go to a park and hang out. And I was like, great. Like, it was awesome outside. It was like August. So it was like great weather. We were going to go have fun. He was like super outdoorsy. He had like a tree hammock thing that he would like take to parks and hang out. I was like, great. This will be fun. And he's like, well, we were trying to come up with parks. And I'm like, well, where do you live? Like, we can meet in the middle. So it was like going to be Sylvania. But then he's like, my cart. I just literally, like, when you think back, I'm like, I must have been wearing the rosiest colored glasses to not see this nonsense. So he was like, well, I don't know if my cart, like, will go that way. And I'm like,
Go that
yeah, I was like, okay. And then I'm like, wait, what? Like that? And so in my head, I'm like, oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah,
and
sure.
then he's like, that road is closed. And I'm like, you know, like, you can, he's like, because we were going to go to Side Cut.
Okay.
And he started getting, like, really weird about that. He's like, well, the road's closed. And I'm like, well, there's, like, several ways
That's a lot of roads.
to get there. And I was like, and then I'm like, okay, what park works for you? And he, like, was, and so I'm like, this one. He's like, okay, Oleander will be fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, great, so we'll meet you there. He's like, okay. And then we talk about it, and I'm like, okay, well, like, I'll meet you there at this time. He's like, great, can't wait.
Was this like just like a 3-day planning, or were you like planning this for a couple weeks and you just
A
had to go
couple
back?
day planning.
Okay.
Like, we had been talking, and then we were like, okay, let's get together. And then, but he's like, yeah, I don't know if my car will make. And I'm like, okay. And then I get to the park, I wait. I was like, okay, I'm on my way. And then, like, when I stopped getting responses, I was like, oh, okay. So then I got there, and then I texted him. I was like, I'm here. And then I texted him one more time, and then I was like, okay, I see what's going on. And then I went home and had dinner with my grandma, and that was the best day ever. I got us Mr. Freeze. I showed up. She had cooked dinner. My other cousins were in town.
Yeah.
And so I went over. We all hung out, and it was great. And I hung out with my family, and my grandma is a beautiful angel who would never stand me up. So I hung out with her, and it was great. And from that moment on, I vowed I would never wait for a man ever again for anything.
Well, the only like good thing about that, because when you first said like it was a no show, like I pictured you in a restaurant, like sitting by yourself.
I'm not that stupid.
And I'm like,
no.
no, that's so embarrassing. Because this is just like, all right, you went to a park, he's not responding anymore.
So I dipped.
So
I was
yeah,
like,
so
bye.
like nobody's the wiser.
There
besides
was
you, right?
one time, and my friends still get on me about this. So in high school, one time where I was in a restaurant, and before track, we would always go to like the Bob Evans by the high school, like on the Saturday track meets. And everyone's like, okay, we'll meet at 6 at Bob Evans, and then we'll go to the high school and get on the bus. I was like, great. I was the only one that showed up. And then I just panicked, and I just sat there and ate breakfast by myself. I was a junior in high school, and I was like, I don't know what to do there. And he sat me. I thought everybody was going to come, and no one came. And so I eat my sad breakfast at a table for like 6 because my friends were coming.
Yeah.
I get there, they're like, where are you? I was like, I don't know, breakfast like we all talked about? And they're like, oh, you still went? And I was like, yes, we made plans. And so they would not let me live that down. That I went and sat. I was like, you guys are the goobers. You let me high and dry.
So nobody, like, they all talked and said, we're not doing it, or what?
No, it's just it's like we were high school kids. We made plans. Like, I was taught where if we make a plan, that's the plan. I'm going to show up. They just were like, yeah, that sounds great. And then just were like, I don't feel like going now. And I was like, okay, I'm just by myself eating my breakfast.
Why didn't you text anybody while you were there?
It was like 2006, 2007. Not everybody had phones
my
yet.
bad.
So, I'm like an older millennial. So, yeah.
Okay,
so it wasn't
right.
as easy to just be like,
Yeah.
hey, guys, you couldn't do a group chat either. You had to like individually. I was like, hey, where are you? Hey, where are you? Hey, what's up? Where are you at? Like, I'm here. Is anybody here? Oh. And then that was also another moment where I was like, I'm not coming into a restaurant until I have verbal confirmation that someone else is here with me.
Well, the good thing about these situations is that you are learning something, right?
Yes.
And they're changing how you do things in life.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, that's one very positive way of looking at it.
I tell you what, I mean, that situation sucked because you're expecting other people. But I like going out to eat by myself.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Sometimes I'll do it at work. I'll go to lunch just by myself. And it usually only takes me like 20 minutes to eat. I'm in and out. But I don't know. It's just obviously when it's planned, it's fun. But when it's unplanned, it's not.
Yeah. I was it's like when I go to new places, like when I've moved, I will go out to eat by myself and I'll sit at the bar and it's great because the bartender usually gives you a free drink, or because they're like, well, first they think it's like really sad and you've been stood up and you're like, no, I chose this. I wanted this.
I chose this life.
Yeah. So, so it's fun. It is nice, but like you said, when it's planned and when you want to be by yourself.
Yeah. Was there, when you were going back to this guy who stood you up at the park, was there a point when you were sitting there and be like, you know what, I'm just going to go out and take a walk? Or were you just like, I don't want to deal with any of this?
No, I was like, because I had already he had already laid the groundwork for, I don't even know why I went in the first place, but I was like, on the off chance he does show up, I don't want to be the terrible person that was not there. Yeah. So I was there and I was like, this is dumb. So I blocked him on everything instantly because I'm like, I don't want you to ever.
I was just going to ask if you talked to anybody after that.
No, I blocked him, unmatched him, and I think I even reported him on the one app because I was like, you got to quit being mean to women. You got to quit hurting feelings. And then, and so I went. And the most annoying thing is like when you get ready, like you put effort into getting ready and looking nice. And then for what? Yes. And then, so I was like, this is not getting wasted. So I went and hung out with my grandma.
And did you tell her why you were there?
Yes.
Like, what'd she say?
She's like, oh, well, you're here now. She's like, let's get ice cream. I was like, great. She just, she's no nonsense with that,
Sure.
which I like. So it
Yeah.
was nice, and she was happy because she had wanted me to come over, and I was like, oh, I have other plans.
Yeah.
And then when I came over, she was excited. So I was like, this is great. This is better than anything. So
Have your friends made fun, or did your friends make fun of you for that, or would they?
that actually, no, my friends were actually very sweet about
Did they?
that because they were like, that's super crappy,
Yeah.
and you deserve better. And I was like, yes, I do. Thank
Well, you should have known his car didn't go that way.
Yeah, yeah. But didn't even know cars could not go certain ways. So, yeah.
Huh, weird. Are there activities you like to do? Like we discussed eating, when it's planned eating by yourself. Are there other activities you prefer to do by yourself? Or I'd say this. Or like you this is like your favorite thing to do by yourself, and then someone's like, you're like, hey, I'm gonna go do this thing. You're like, oh, I'm gonna come with you. You're like, God damn it. I just want to do it myself.
No, I love going to the movies by myself.
Okay.
Because as I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, just leave me alone. There are certain things I love going to the movies by myself. I don't have to share the popcorn or the drink. I can just be left alone, and I can go to whatever movie I want.
Yeah.
Because for a while, it was always I was compromising and being like, I don't really want to see that, but fine, I'll go. But when I need to quickly get errands done, I don't want anybody with me. When someone's like, oh, I'll go, I'm like, okay, thank you so much. Like, because there's some people that I shop with that need to look at everything, and then they need to check the Google reviews, and I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I need something, and so I'm just gonna get it. I need toilet paper. I'm just gonna grab the first one I see. I don't care. Like, so there's some things where I'm just like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if I've ever watched a movie by myself.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Oh, it's
Actually,
great.
it's good when it's just Andrea and I without kids. Because kids, it's, obviously you're limited to what movie you're going to see because they're kids. So 9 times out of 10, if it's a kid's movie, I fall asleep.
Yeah.
I enjoy the movie, but I'm so tired. It's so dark in there. I usually have a belly full of popcorn, and I just
Perfect nap
for,
setting.
yeah, for about 15 minutes, and then something loud happens, wakes me up. I look at Andrea, she's just staring at me and smiling.
Yeah.
But without kids, like, it's fun. Like, here's our large popcorn, here's our large pop, and at the time you can get free refills. They don't do that anymore, but the prices have gone down. But it is cool, and I can imagine like just being by yourself, like that would be it does seem awesome.
And no one judges you when you walk in by yourself because they don't know if you're meeting people in there.
Yeah.
No one knows what's going on.
You can just walk in and be like, yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah, exactly. See,
So
no one
dark.
knows. And you just sit down, and it's great. And everyone leaves you alone.
Yeah.
No one talks to you. You just go in, sit down, watch your movie, and leave.
Yeah. But yeah, there's no bartender like, oh, I'm sorry. You're like,
Yeah.
nope, this is what I want.
Oh, I chose this. I wanted this.
I do, and the same thing with errands. Like, one of my favorite. I love grocery shopping.
Oh, so do I.
Like, I don't know. I make a list.
It's therapeutic.
Yes, I make a list, get everything off the list. If I have time, I'll go down every aisle if I have time. Especially if we hit Meijer and it's 10 for 10 or buy 5 save 5. Like, oh, I'm on it. I'm always always have a pen in the list. So if it's 10 for 10 or buy 5 save 5, I got to mark, make sure I know I don't get too many or not enough. And it's so much fun. And part of it too is I just like talking to people, and I know I'll run into somebody I know and chat them up a little bit or whatever.
Yeah. And I think I enjoy doing that stuff by myself because having the mother I have, I love her so very much, but she knows everybody in this town.
Yeah.
So a quick grocery trip was never that. It was always, she ran into 17,000 people that wanted to know every detail. Or it was like, oh, how's your brother? Oh, how's this?
Yeah.
Oh, what's going on? And I was like, we had to start setting a rule that like, all right, Mom, if you want us to come with you, put the blinders on. We're not talking to anybody. Or like you get to talk to 2 people.
Yeah.
And after that, you got to pretend like you don't know them. She's like, I can't. And we're like, we can't do it. Can't do it. Because it would turn into, or we'd lose her and we'd be like, okay, where'd she go? We got to go find her. So that has like, I'm like, I am so much more efficient by myself.
Yeah.
Just get in, get out, get on with life.
Speaking you said something that seemed insane to me is you just grab whatever toilet paper you want.
I mean, I'm not a heathen. I need at least some 2-ply.
I'm not even talking about that. Like, I am super brand loyal.
No, God, no. I don't.
Oh my
It's-
God. My in-laws have the worst toilet. Like, it's nice.
Is it the Scott?
No,
that
it's
like tissue paper?
Like, no. It's Cottonelle, I think.
Okay.
But it's like a piece of clothing. Like, it's too much. And so I'm super specific, and I like if I'd go without. Like I'd go to take a shower afterward
Yeah.
if I needed to. It's so like when you said that, I'm like, no way. Like,
I am not brand loyal with that. I have my limits. I will not do like the tissue paper toilet paper because that's just a recipe for disaster.
Like they have it like that's what we use at our parks. Like,
these
giant rolls. Yeah.
See, no, and I think that comes from survival mode of college where you're like, I need toilet paper, but I have like 3 cents. What am I supposed to do? So, no, it doesn't. That doesn't. I'm, in, out, on with life, and whatever's closest, that's what I'm taking.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I even, like when we buy paper towels, I get mad at myself when I don't read it correctly and I don't get the select size, the smaller ones.
Oh yeah.
So we have like 8 rolls of the sheets that are 8 by 15 or whatever. It's just I was like, I look at Adrian, I was like, I bought the wrong ones again.
Oh, I'm very also like, because for the longest while I was very Costco. I would just go buy a thing of Costco toilet paper and I'd be set for 6 months.
Sure.
Because when I lived by myself, I was like, so that it's like, and then when you're not at Costco, you're like, oh, okay, this will work. Mm-hmm. So that's where we are.
You're a maniac.
Yeah.
Was there ever a date where you went to run errands, or was that ever part of dates where you've had to do that? Because I think that would be a good like barometer of not just like, hey, we're running errands for a date, but just like, what do you buy? Like,
There was one that was really nice, but it was like a hybrid of that. It was, he wanted to cook, so we went to the farmer's market, and then we went to Kazmeyer's and like shopped and got what we wanted for dinner, and then like went back and cooked it. Yeah. So like that was fun. Yeah. That was nice. But no, I don't think I've ever shopped with someone I was on a date with. I
would imagine that'd be like date 4 or 5. Like it's not obviously not gonna be like a first date, but I think you can get a peek in because I'm assuming I haven't done this a lot. I'm assuming like if you go to a new guy's place you've been dating for a while, it's the first time, you're gonna look around, you're gonna look at even like what kind of cups do they have? Cups like how many spoons do they have?
Exactly.
That kind of stuff, right?
Do they? Is there enough for 2 people? Is it not disposable?
Are there sheets on the bed?
Ew. Yeah. Is there more than 1 pillow?
Yeah.
Has the toilet bowl been cleaned this millennium? Yeah. And the shower is another one. Like, what kind of products do they have in the shower? Is it like one crusty bar of soap that has Debrickle on it that's just chilling and like that's it? Because then if so.
Or like the 7-in-1. Where it's like conditioner, shampoo, body wash, toothpaste.
I went to visit Chaz at college. And I would always stay with him, and my parents would stay in a hotel when we'd go up and visit. And like the one time I had to shower, because he had like a nice apartment where everyone had their own bathroom and shower area in their room. And I went to take a shower, and it was like it's like 4-in-1. And I was like, what is this? I was like, your mother is a hairdresser. She has gifted you with the good stuff, and you are making me use this. And I had to. And I was like, I felt worse off.
Why didn't you bring your own stuff?
Because I thought my brother was equipped because my mom sends him home with the good stuff. So I'm like, what are you doing? And I was like, this is terrible. And so I berated him, and I think he's finally done with the 18-in-1 thing. Yeah. So
I when you said do they have more than 1 pillow, it reminded me I listened to this other podcast, and they talked about their friend or the guy talking said that he only had 1 pillow, and they're like, well, what happens when a girl comes over? And he's like, well, obviously she gets the pillow. Like we're like, no, that's not obviously.
No, it's not. It's not because. And first of all, even if I have my own bed to myself, I have 11 pillows on it.
Okay, well that might be way.
It might be it might be much, but I build like a little fortress. I lay in it. It's great. You know what I mean? Sure. But I'm also equipped and ready in case anybody needs to sleep over. You know, like a normal person. 10 other people. Yeah, you got to be ready.
Yeah. Now, I want to go back to the pillows, but I don't want to leave our conversation about going into a guy's place. Yeah. Is there something like when you go into a place? Is there something like this is the first thing I'm going to look at, or is it just gathering information in general?
Gathering information, but I think too, you and I would have a different approach, mainly because I'm like, ooh, I'm trying to not get murdered.
Sure.
How? Like, what are my?
So are you looking for the place? Oh,
yeah,
okay,
escape routes, how it's laid out, and then like the second thing is, ooh, does he have a girlfriend he hasn't told me about? Like, And, you know, and
Yeah.
like, can I find, because there's like horror stories of girls going in and finding like scrunchies or bobby pins, stuff that men clearly don't use,
yeah.
and being like, or like dry shampoo is another thing. Like if there's dry shampoo or purple shampoo. Do you know what purple shampoo is?
No, I don't.
Okay. So purple shampoo is blondes use it because it pulls the yellow out of their hair. I have blonde shampoo.
Okay.
So this one girl caught her boyfriend cheating because she was a brunette and the girl had left her purple shampoo.
No way.
Because you don't use it for brunettes because there's no yellow to pull out.
Okay.
So
All right.
now you know.
Wow.
Yeah. No, so you look for that, and I look just to make sure they're like normal things and like family pictures. I'm like, okay, got to pass the vibe check. Just don't look like a crack den, like a little murder den, and we're good. So
It seems easy.
yeah, you would
right?
think. Yeah.
Have you been into homes or apartments where you immediately wanted to leave? Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, this is so nice. But here's like my caveat of not wanting to get murdered, but being a people pleaser and being like, oh, this is so nice. Thank you so much for inviting me into your home as you petitely sit on the corner of the couch. And you're
the
like,
only part that's not
yeah,
sticky.
and you're like, this is so lovely. Thank you. Yeah. No, or it's like you instantly walk in and be like, I will never come back to this establishment, but thank you so much.
There, again, I listen to entirely too many podcasts, but this girl was talking how she will go out with a guy or whatever, and then she ends up staying the night with them, but they never do anything. And the guy's like, "Do you know how? Just don't go home then. Like the guy won't be mad. Like just don't go home with them." She's like, "Well, I'm drunk. So, okay, get an Uber."
Yeah. There are other options.
Yeah. But she's like, I never do anything with them, and they were fine with it or whatever. It's like, but do you realize anytime a guy takes you home, and okay, it's one thing to take you home, like, okay, maybe I'll get lucky.
Yeah.
Then you guys sleep in the same bed, and then nothing, like, just don't do that.
Yeah, you're like a married couple
Yeah.
with nothing in the middle.
Just, get an Uber.
I have one of my friends who like is, we call it like the thief in the night. She will never stay.
Yeah.
Ever. And she has gotten so crafty at like dipping out. And like guys were like, you can stay. She's like, no, I'm good. I gotta go. She's like, and then the one day she called me because she had spent the night, and she called me and she's like, you need to come get me out of here. She goes, I spent the night and I don't know what to do and I don't know where my car is. And I was like, okay, I'm on my way. Calm down. And luckily, because she had lived like the guy was like right around the corner from where I was staying. So I went and picked her up. And then the best part is he was out there with her and he's like, can you take me to my car too?
Oh,
and I was
no.
like, okay. So I am doing this like the most awkward. I felt like, and they both got in the back. And I looked at her and I was like, you get in the front seat with me.
Heck?
He can sit in the back. I am not driving Miss Daisy, you two. Get up here. So yeah.
Oh, I bet you would. I would have just started cracking up.
I was like, oh, and I knew it. I was like, what are we doing? I've gotten this friend Ubers before because she's like, I don't want to be here. Help me.
Get your own Uber.
I love her. She's a mess sometimes, and that's okay because we love her.
Yeah.
But there's been times I'm like, oh, honey, but. Sometimes it has to happen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Gosh. I've never woken up in a girl's apartment because I've never like had a one night stand.
Yeah.
Right. So anytime I've woken up with a girl, it's someone I've been dating. So it's never awkward. The most awkward thing is I usually have to go to work. So I'm like, all right, I got to set my alarm for 5:30 so I can get out and go get my car. But yeah, I can't imagine how that feels like.
Well, let me tell you.
Okay,
one of the waking up and not having someone be there is like whatever. Okay, it's when you wake up when they're trying to escape and you catch them, and they're like, oh well, and like this one guy, he was going to leave, and I was like, hey, and he's like, oh no, I'm like, I know you're trying to leave, but like, I have to lock the door behind you because I only have one lock. So if you're gonna leave me, I don't want to be left. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Just like wake me and tell me you gotta go. You don't gotta sneak out. He's like, oh, okay, thanks. Well, I have to go. I'm like, great, let's go. I'll lock the door behind you.
I never understood like why are people being secretive when they're trying to, like, why can't just be like, all right, I gotta,
Because people don't understand how to like be adults and have conversations. They think if I sneak out, then I never have to deal with it again. Like if you don't. And
so
I'm just-
I guess our guys, or I guess girls for that matter too, are they worried like we're gonna have to I don't want to spend any more time with this person? Then if they wake up, or if I wake them up, they're gonna be like, hey, do you want to hang out later today?
yeah,
Or that
it's
kind of stuff.
essentially that. Yeah. Because on the flip side, there was one time with my friend who I was just talking about.
Yeah.
I had ran into one of my old friends, and
Yeah.
he came back and we went to her apartment, and then he ended up staying, but like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, he like wouldn't leave,
Oh.
and it was like noon, and we're like, she's looking at me like we have things to do.
Yeah.
So we made up that we had to go somewhere, got in the car, drove around the block, and then went back in the house because I was like, he was not leaving, and we're like, sir, we have things to do. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Like, see ya.
I mean, at some point before you got in the car and decided to drive around the block, I'm sure you guys were saying like, hey, we gotta.
Oh yeah, he just was like tone deaf when it came to like the picking up on like the social cues, and I was like, "This is great, gotta go."
I'm sure I've said it the previous podcast talking about dating is, it sounds horrible.
I saw this meme and I thought it was so funny, and it said if I was a marriage counselor today, I would make the two people go on a dating app for an hour, and like that would solve everything because it's so terrible, and it's just terrible because people don't have common courtesy or know how to act, or people feel entitled to certain things without having to work for it, and it's like no. Like what?
It's such a simple thing, like to be to have a conversation. Like to me, it seems simple, but we're adults and we've done it before. And but when I bring, I made a rule for myself. Like if I'm bringing a high school kid here, it can't just be one; it has to be two.
Yeah,
because they are not.
Because they'll be like,
good. Yeah, they're not good at conversations, which is fine. That's their life, and that's just how it is now.
Yeah.
But at some point, you are gonna have to have a conversation with people. So that rule has helped me.
Yeah.
It also helps them coming out here and having someone a friend too. But yeah, it's so crazy when I even try to talk to them on the field, like at practice or something, and most of them are okay about it, especially because they know me. But if some of them that they don't know me so well, I'm just like trying to talk to them, it's like, oh, all right, man, just wait. I'll wait till half the season so you know me a little bit.
Yeah, like, that's brutal. Sometimes you're like, okay, like,
Yeah.
well, I think that just with being younger, and then plus the phones, or the technology,
the phones definitely, yes.
like not having the conversation, or
I mean, we sound 80 right now, but
I know, which is so terrible. But like, I love being able to have conversations and talk to people. But I'm also, I am so over the. What's your favorite color? What do you do for fun? Where do you like to go?
Well, yeah,
the conversation, because
yeah.
it's the same thing. No one has anything. And then what it is you match, and then you exchange basic pleasantries, and then that's it. No one puts forth an effort past that.
Yeah.
So, and then everything just fizzles.
Well, yeah, the constant having to date before you find someone, I would imagine it's like you should come up with a resume like, here's all the answers to the stupid questions you're gonna ask me.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Figure it out. Let
Read
me
it,
know.
and then we'll
Get back
discuss something
to me.
else. Yeah.
There was a girl I saw on TikTok who made like a Google spreadsheet, and like would just send it to guys, have them fill it out, and like she would also give it. It was great, and she's like, "This is amazing. It cuts all the nonsense out."
Yeah.
Yeah. But and like sometimes you can do like the one app will give you prompt questions, and I'm like, okay, that's great, but then it just. People like the idea. It's literally they're just like attention seekers. Like if you're feeling, and I've had girlfriends literally say like, "Oh, I was feeling bad about myself, so I went and swiped and matched with some guys, and that made me feel good." I'm like, "Oh, brutal." But there's not like a lot of in-person ways to meet people anymore. That's like common. Like I don't know.
Oh,
like
go to a bar or something like that.
and
right?
it's not and
the laundromat.
Yeah, you don't want to meet, and then also like the age-old tale of people being like, you don't want to meet someone in a bar. Yeah. And I'm like, it's worked out for a handful of people I know. Yeah, sometimes it does, but there's not. People don't do things, and there's not a lot of events where you go and can meet people. And I think COVID had a really big impact on dating and like what people were comfortable with and But it's
I was looking at my phone to see if there's a I just typed in conversation app
oh yeah.
to like not just like here's how you have one, but like here's some interesting questions you can ask. I'm sure that's anywhere on the internet.
Yeah.
But I feel like because people use their phone so much, like it wouldn't be a rude thing to be like, hey,
Yeah.
people are on a date. I downloaded this cool app, check it out right now. And that's something we can use to like, besides like, what's your favorite food?
Maybe that's our next moneymaker,
Yeah,
Lorenzo.
there
We
we
come
go.
out with the conversations dating app people to use. I went on one date. This was probably like the most recent date I went on, and we sat down, and I realized like I was doing all the question asking, so I just
yeah.
kind of stopped, and so did he, and I'm like. Do you want to know anything about me? But this was
Yeah.
also the same guy who we went to get drinks. We literally went for coffee and tea. Okay. I ordered, he ordered, and then he just stood there. And then the lady's like, does someone want to pay?
Oh no.
And so I was like, yeah, like you asked me on the date.
Yeah.
Like, I don't expect you to pay for me all the time or anytime. Like, we could have split, but you latched on to my order.
And it's not like it was
And
$50.
it was
either.
$5.
Yeah.
So I paid, and he looks at me and goes, "How very progressive of you."
Oh my
And I wanted to
gosh.
be like, it was progressive of me because you had alligator arms and couldn't seem to find your wallet. So we sit down, and then it was also super weird too because I was in the process of buying a house, and he was like a realtor for one of his like 17 jobs he worked, which great, good for you. He was like more interested about my home buying experience than like getting to know me. He's like, well, who's your realtor? Do you have an appraiser yet? I was like, no. Like, and even if I did, I'm not going to go with you, guy who I've known for. And he also did this thing where like we matched. The conversation was really great. He's like, oh, would you feel comfortable like exchanging numbers? I was like, yeah. And then he would like send me voice memos. He wouldn't text me. It was voice memos. And I was like, oh, this is new. I was like, okay. But then this was like the weird part is he would save the ones I sent him. And I know this because you get an alert that was like, so-and-so like saved your voice memo. And I was like, then I was like, why are you saving my voice? Like, why? What is happening? And I was like, okay, I'm going to texting. This is weird.
Yeah.
And he would still send me like voice memos. And I was like, this is like, and then we went on a date and then never saw him again. And it's fine. So
I get voicemails from a friend every once in a while because he has an iPhone and I don't. And when you're trying to send videos or whatever, it just doesn't work well. So he'll send me, he'll like tell me something like that would be in a video or something, or it just makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine like sending voice memos to this girl that I've went on 1 or 2 dates with.
One, it was like,
and then saved
hey,
ones.
yes. And then he was like, hey, it was like he was calling me, but not, it was like, he was like, hey, how's your day? I'm just doing this, blah, blah, blah. And just like mindless meandering into and I was like, what is happening?
Oh
like
my
that
God.
gave me a slight, like if I ended up on a 2020 special, that would have been like the clear indicator of, oh, that makes sense. That tracks. That tracks. In college, my one friend who kept me on my toes all the time, she, I'd always have to tell her, don't make me be on a 2020 special having to defend you. Like, make smart choices.
Yeah.
So that was always we just told each other, like, don't make me.
Well, the worst part of those voice memos, if you did end up on TV, is like, well, here's where she should have saw the red flag.
Yeah, and you're like,
And she clearly kept going.
yes, I always think like when I'm in situations like, how would I look? Or like, it's so funny because like women actively think about like who's gonna murder me today and how can I get out of it? And I've always like my one friend literally sent me photos and was like, if I ever go missing, use these. Don't ever use. And I'm like, oh God, girl, you got this. Now she's like, yeah, use the good ones, but she's like, you got to sprinkle in some ones where I look normal because I'm not always looking that good. And I'm like, yeah, you got this down to science.
Yeah, they're gonna look for this girl who's in a prom dress 8 out of 10 pictures. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah. So,
when you were talking about that on the date you went where you were asking all those questions, you know what a good indicator and not just like a dating, but just if you're talking too much at dinner, is if you look at your plates and you realize you still have a bunch of food and they don't, is like, oh, I've been talking the entire time.
Yeah.
And I'm not eating.
Yeah.
That maybe besides the guy being stupid, maybe that was an indicator for you too.
Yeah.
You just gotta open your eyes, I think.
I know. And be like, ugh. Well, as the oldest, I always had to talk for my siblings because I always am talking for people. And sometimes too, I'm like, feel like, oh my God, am I talking? Like, it's like when you become self-aware, you're talking too much and then you still can't stop. I'm like, will someone just please put duct tape over my mouth? I cannot make it stop.
Yeah.
When you get comfortable and you're like, blah,
for
blah, I can
sure.
take blah, blah, blah. So.
Or the worst, and I do this. I mean, everybody does it because some people see it as like one-upping, but really it's when if you were telling me a story and then I tell you something very similar to me that happened, a lot of people see it as like one-upping. But in reality, it's just, you're just relating to that person, right? Like, oh yeah, I had the same situation or whatever.
Yes.
But people see it as a negative sometimes.
No, I love that. Like, to me, it signals you're listening.
Yeah.
You're actively participating in the conversation. It's great.
Yeah.
Because I do that too. So.
Well, even me, like, knowing that, like, it's still like, oh my God, this guy. But I think it's also certain people that you know.
Oh,
You're like,
yeah.
I don't even want to hear this guy talk. You know what I mean?
Because there's certain people where, like, that's their whole personality is they are always wanting to tell you. And it's like, great.
Or the last word, you know? Yeah.
And you're like, you can just listen. That's cool too. Yeah.
That's, well, even when you're in arguments or discussions, I should say, when the person, when you're talking to someone and it looks like they're listening, but then when they start talking again, they're, the whole time they look like they're listening, they're thinking about what they were going to say.
Oh,
listening,
yeah.
right? So that's a lot. That's hard to do too, though, because you are like listening, but also trying to say like what's next. I do that a lot, like here, because I'm trying to come up with like the next question or what do I want to talk about or this or that. So I've gotten pretty good, and even in these 2 years doing it, gotten pretty good at not only being able to do both of those things, like actively listen, but also come up with stuff so I can talk about more stuff, and being able to just sit in silence for 1 second too long, and then the person continues to talk and tells me more information.
Yep.
You know,
You gotta let them go.
Yeah, that's a hard thing too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's uncomfortable, but they're gonna start talking because they don't like it either.
Yeah. Because, like, ooh, silence. I gotta, what can I say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they'll tell me information that I had no idea that they were going to say. You know, I gotten pretty good at where it helps me at work too. I've talked to people at work when they're like, afterward, like, oh, I've never told anybody that or something. Like, cool, that's all right. You know, that's fine. Yeah. It's a good skill. And even one of my employees at work was like, I appreciate, you know, I'm glad we talk and it's good. Just don't use that skill for evil.
Yeah. Like, ooh,
I'm like, I will. I was like, if I ever turn into an evil villain, let me know. She goes, oh, you'll know. I won't be here anymore.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So it's fun learning, like, and I'm not like doing this like, oh, I want to be better at talking, but it just happens because I do it so often.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's to take it back to dating. Like, you or anybody who's dating so often, you like. I think sometimes can fast forward through some of this stuff because you already know these things. And do I need to, is it nice to know your favorite color? Yeah, but maybe like 5 dates from now, if we're looking at a certain thing, like, oh, I like the red one. Oh, I didn't know you like the red one or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff. But I think sometimes that can, like, you can fast forward some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I haven't dated in a long time, but I feel like that's an easy, I shouldn't say easy. I feel like that's something that people should do.
Yeah. And it's like people freak out like, I have this one friend who is just like constantly on the dating wheel, which is fine. Like sometimes I just want to be like, girl, heal. Like go heal, figure yourself out, and then come back. And she makes everything's a big deal. Well, he told me he wants me to meet his family. Great. Every guy will tell you what you want to hear. Like she just gets so invested into like these little things. And I'm like, what are we? Maybe I'm just so jaded by it where I'm like, liar. Where I'm like, so she's still so optimistic where I'm like, no, great. Congratulations. He said he wants you to meet his family. Like, and she's like, oh, we've only been talking for 2 weeks and he said this. And I'm like, okay. Like, come on.
Well, I think part of it, like you said, is being jaded, but part of it is experience too, right?
Yeah. And like, I don't want to meet your family if you don't plan to. First of all, parents love me. So joke's on you. Your family is going to love me.
Yeah.
And then you'll be stuck when you're a goober. And so, and I just don't, my family, my family is very intense. I
Yeah.
also don't like to be like, hi, would you like to meet my uncle who will pretend to arrest you because he thinks it's funny? So yeah, he did that to every single homecoming date I had, me and Shelby had. And we were like, so sorry. We even gave him warning. And like, they still were like, oh, you weren't lying. I was like, I told you.
Oh my gosh.
I told you.
He's
So,
insane.
yeah. Yes, we love him, but he crazy. So
I just had one real good question. So we're talking about having experience. It was so, see, that's why I have a pen and paper. I write stuff down. But then someone told me one time, like, what are you writing down? And I explained it to them. And then they're like, oh, good. I thought it was something bad, So then I stopped doing it because people get uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll move on.
If you think about it.
Oh, I got it.
Oh,
Good. So have you ever dated somebody for not just like a month or whatever, but long enough to hang out with their family, on a regular basis, and then you guys break up, but their family still likes you? Like,
so yeah, my first of all, like, I'm gonna cut the illusion. There's only been one person I seriously dated where like I met their family,
Okay.
nobody else. So, but he we dated for a while, and I met his family, and then we broke up. But like I loved his family, and his family loved me, and like they would still reach out, and
okay.
so it's nice. But you're like, oh, what is this like? At what point is it weird, or should I stop? But they're still super friendly, and it was weird because my brother was really good friends with my ex's nephew.
Mm-hmm.
Like they went to school together and were really close. So like I would still see him, and it's just, and like nothing ended on bad terms. And I think that was like the thing too. Like nobody did anything wrong. It just like wasn't working out.
Sure.
And so, but I was still really close. Like I still went to his sister's baby shower after we broke up, and like I really loved them. So it was really hard because like when you
Sure.
like the family, and I've been very fortunate where I've never had to meet anybody's family that I was like, ooh, that is trouble.
Yeah.
So
My sister was dating a guy. They broke up, and my dad and him like got along really well. Like they would hang out and stuff. And my dad told my sister, just because you guys are broken up doesn't mean we're not gonna hang out with each other.
yeah,
They did a few times, but eventually,
yeah.
it's done with.
My it's funny because my very first boyfriend, the one who I went and saw Miracle with,
Yeah.
him and my brother are like friends. I'm like, we'll go like see movies together, hang out, go to sporting events, and I'm like, it's fine. I mean, it was junior high, so it wasn't like, so it's harmless, but it's just funny to me that like they'll go hang out and do things. I'm like, hey, have fun.
I saw your brother.
Which
at
one?
At the mommy game, Chaz.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he was gonna go up, and I was trying to get Bennett to go, but he was at a haunted house. But I go, I think you should go. It'll be fun.
Yeah,
But then it was funny because I'm like, do you see like people like? I mean, obviously, I'm like, who all from your grade was there? He goes, it's just a lot of dudes from the '80s that I don't think
There's a lot of old guys
could
there.
let it go.
Yeah, there's a lot of old guys there. I saw like Gus Dimmerling was there.
Yeah.
Trevor.
Yeah, he said they all came after, like
Yeah.
that they were hanging out and then came. Was there anybody from like your era that came?
Yeah, there was I think a group of 4 or 5 guys that were seniors when I was a sophomore.
Okay.
But other than that, I didn't see anybody in my grade.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there was a few there, but it was a lot of older guys.
Yeah.
Which I think that kind of stuff lends to that because it's like tradition.
Yeah.
And, that kind of stuff. But it was cool. It was cool to like just see anybody that wants to come back.
Yeah.
And be a part of this thing. And the pictures we took. I mean, there was a team photo. Mommy and Perrysburg, like it's like the last one, so there was like this cool team photo of both teams and a
nice.
bell in the middle and stuff. So it was a cool thing.
Yeah, it bums me out. I don't know why they can't make it where it's like the first game of the season. And I'm sure probably like conference alignment or whatever, but make it because when Napoleon and Defiance left leagues, they play like they're the first game of the year, and they kept that rivalry going.
The problem with that, like I understand, I totally get why people want that to happen, and it can happen. Like there's spots for that. The problem is we're Division 1, Mommy's Division 3. If we beat them, it doesn't help us that much at all.
You need to get the
Get any computer points, and they're really bad. So even if we beat them and they don't have any wins, then it really doesn't give us anything.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if they were like good in Division 3, fine, because they're still going to win games, but it doesn't benefit us to play them. It might even help us to play a Division 1 team and lose as opposed to playing Maumee and winning. So
did your senior year? Did you guys beat Maumee?
We did not. I lost to them. My junior year, we were undefeated and went to Maumee. And lost.
I remember that game. I still cry about that game.
And split the championship with them.
Yeah.
Like we won the league, but with them. We would have went to the playoffs for the first time ever. And then my senior year, we were awful. And I think we only lost like 17-8 or something like that. It wasn't terrible. But we played at Perrysburg at grass, and it was so muddy. Like neither team could really do anything. But no,
I was lucky. Me and my siblings and I, we all our senior year beat Maumee.
I saw that poster
it
made.
was
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. I think Chaz and I were the only ones where like it had been Perrysburg. Bennett was the only one where like it had been Maumee's, and then they brought it back.
That's
So,
a different feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
to get the bell back. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an awesome night. Obviously, we won the game too, so that was nice. And like everyone afterward, hanging out. I always do senior selfies too. I think this is the fourth year or third year I've done that.
That was
the
cute.
last game,
I saw that. Yeah.
So that's cool too. And now the kids know I do that.
So they look for you. They're like, hey.
So they're like, hey, senior stuff. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
because some of the juniors are like, I want a picture. I was like, next year, man.
Yeah,
we'll do it next year.
You gotta. That'll be like the deciding factor. Of, I don't know if I want to play, but I get a senior selfie. I gotta go back. That was so. Bennett wanted to quit football.
Yeah.
After his junior year.
Oh really?
Yeah, he was like, "This isn't for me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm done." My mom goes, "Do not take your senior game away from me." She goes, "I want to walk out on senior night, and you had to have that moment." She's like, "Do not take that away from me." And he goes, "Fine." And then he had the best.
really good season.
He did. He won like MVP or most improved player.
Yeah.
Like he did great, and then he ended up going to college for a hot second on a football scholarship. So she's like, "See, I'm so glad," but she's like, I just want that moment for you.
You know how many, and it's just because since I've become a varsity coach, how many juniors who are in JV and hardly get any varsity snaps, how much the next year they're senior using, how much of impact they have.
Oh yeah.
Like it's crazy because you have to be a senior. And a lot of times those kids don't realize that something clicks in there, something changes and they become this different player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Bennett. Chaz was just good at everything he touched from no matter what he did. So, but he also worked very hard for it. So I always say he deserved everything he got because he worked hard for it. But Bennett had to work a little extra hard and things came a little more difficult for him.
Yeah. But it's cool to see. I mean, we had one. He graduated last year, Mitchell Smith. I was his freshman football coach, and halfway through the season, I took him off the starting offensive line, so he didn't start anymore. And then all through sophomore, junior year, played JV. Senior year started, and then he ends up at Heidelberg. He's playing football there, and as a freshman, he made the travel squad. So and then his grades weren't really good freshman year, and then now he's on the dean's list in college. To see this
awesome.
transformation,
Yeah.
and it seems like a long time, but it's only 5 years, and it's such a quick turnaround. And it's to talk to his dad about it and to talk to him about it. It's a cool thing because again, just because you're on JV as a junior doesn't mean you can't make an impact your senior year. It's really cool to see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I like
fun.
that. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming out here.
anytime.
Talking another dating. We have I was looking through your laundry list of the stuff you sent me the last time. So there's still a lot to go through.
Oh yeah, I think the next time, because this could potentially be a full episode, was the year I lived in Michigan and dated.
Okay,
And
all right.
attempted to date, because that was a whole other world of experiences, which then hardcore turned me off of dating for a hot minute.
Oh, okay.
And oh boy, buckle.
Well, we'll start. We'll end there and start back up next time we come out here. Thanks, Chelsea.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody, for checking out this episode of the Nerd Ball Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're hearing this on any of the podcatchers. On YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We're coming at you 2 times a week now, audio and video. Check us out on all the social medias. Just search the Nerd Ball Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're out there. Gmail is the nerdballpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to shoot us an email, we'll be happy to get back to you. Thanks to Real JP Multimedia, Cuttlefish Graphics, Perrysburg Junior High STEM Lab, and Big Daddy Graphics for helping out the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.